Hey everyone, it's Mark from Auckland here. Welcome to another episode of Highland Paranormal. I'm here tonight at Touchwood House in Inverness, over in beautiful Scotland, and I'm going to be hanging out with a couple of members from one of my favourite paranormal groups over here, Highland Paranormal, and we're going to be meeting the owner, Susan, of Touchwood House, and we'll be talking ghosts, paranormal, and a drink, of course. See you soon.
I don't like it at all. No.
It's not something that anybody's going to pick up on. I actually think Lynn was
really not nice at all. Make me feel really heady and sick. Not nice at all.
I know
is it the same place?
Oh.
Yeah. She said it's the same place. The same place.
She got hit. Going along there.
It's that bit?
Yeah.
And then the side of that bit?
Yeah. So that's the fuse box. So
yeah, so that'll
be. Trip pretty tight.
Oh yeah, which one? EMF, isn't it? Yeah, paint.
So,
I love it.
this was the children's nursery. I was in here at the end of the night. We'd locked off cameras and that. I was the only person on this floor, and I heard somebody walking about outside. To the point where I actually went to look to see if there was anybody outside, and there wasn't anybody outside. So yeah, this was the children's playroom. But this was, for a short time, used, I think, as an orphanage.
Really? The house?
Yes, the house. So Lynn has got all the research. Lynn obviously did all the research, so you'll be able to get a copy of that research from Lynn. So that may tie in with the spirit of the children.
It's possible.
That
If it was a
here.
children's home, yeah.
For a short time. There's nothing that could have gone was that?
I'm trying to think.
This room was one that we put quite a bit of focus in, but we didn't really capture anything. There's one room that's actually a bullet hole in the window.
Really?
Yeah,
Can you show me that?
I can't even remember which room it is.
It's literally just here.
Check that was not true. I'm sure it's only at the moment.
Where's my pocket? Literally, just as I said, have you ever been in here? 3 lies. Seems like somebody walked past when we walked in. When we walked in, somebody walked out.
This was Johnny Worth's room. So Johnny Worth was a local entertainment manager who used to manage several of the popular venues in Inverness. First the Empire Theatre, which was demolished I think in the early 70s, and then the Cummings Hotel, which is now Witherspoon's pub, but for a long time was Scottish Showtime through the summer. So when we came into this room, we thought it would be a great idea to try and trigger activity by picking a piece of music that probably he would be familiar with. So we used Andy Stewart, who we know played the Empire Theatre, and we got, as a result, playing that music, this chair started to vibrate. The woman that was in it I didn't believe, so I said, can I sit in it? I sat down in it and I went like that to try and stop it vibrating. I couldn't stop it vibrating. There was pictures on the wall, I don't think are here now. They started vibrating as well. The other team came through the door and the activity just stopped. Music kept playing, but the activity just stopped. And we have tried it once again in here, but didn't get anything on our next visit. So the interesting thing is that activity started here almost as soon as Johnny passed away. So shortly before he passed away, he was complaining to the owner that there was a problem with the kettle. And within a couple of days of him passing, the owner was in this room and the kettle switched itself on. And it's been known to do that since as well. So very active room. John himself has been seen in this room. He liked to sit at the window and look out, and several spiritually minded people who've been to the house, not to do ghost hunts for that, just as guests, have said that they've seen a man sitting looking out the window at certain times. It seems to be at certain times of the year as well. So as I said, very active room, and one of Inverness's probably more famous individuals. We can try, if you want. I can see if I can get some Andy Stewart on the old...
Do it, yeah, why not?
On the old phone.
Why not?
When it happened, I was on the sitting feature. Johnny, if you're here tonight, can you give us a sign? Can you move the rods? If there's any spirit in the room with us now, can you move the rods for me?
We'd love to know you're here. If you're here, can you let us know by moving the rods for us?
Am I sitting in your chair? You're not happy with me sitting in your chair. Can you give me a sign that you're not happy? If you like the music, can you make the rods move? Or go towards the device on the floor? Can you go to the red light? Okay, Johnny, we're going to leave just now. So, if you want us to stay, you need to give us a sign that you're here. Okay, Johnny, we're going to go. Thank you. Oh, quiet.
Oh, Bailey, you're used to this, aren't you? You're a poser. Bailey, Bailey, look, look. Hey, look at you.
Are all the rooms like that then?
We're all looking. Just go and have a look.
Look, that's the cupboard. What looks like a cupboard. Windows. Oh my god. Literally, just as I said, have you ever been in here? 3 nights. It was like somebody walked past when we walked in. When we walked in, somebody walked out.
Ask it to do something and it doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow.
Wow.
And we saw that last night.
Yeah.
You know,
We did although.
with the 2 children, that we
session.
picked up 2 children, and with that session we did it, and that was really, really good. I mean, it was weaker this time than the previous time, but the time before we believed it was an actual gentleman
Yeah.
that we
We're
came
stronger because they're wicked because they're children, aren't they? They're
Yeah.
probably not so much energy than an adult.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if Lynn can pick up the names. We know the surname matches because we used it. We went through the surnames of the owners of the house as a starter to see whether or not it was in him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we even then goes, right, carry on, try the other surnames, just to see if it does it again. It didn't. So we asked the surname we started with, and again it crossed the roads.
Mm-hmm.
So
Fantastic. Yeah.
There's the light.
Yeah.
That's good.
That corridor that she was going on about,
The back corridor.
that's where the European man was seen. But as I said, what happened that night was that we were in the kitchen doing a session, and one of the women felt unwell. So Mike took her out to get some fresh air. And when he was walking back in, he said, "This thing's scattered past him." So he went back in and he asked Susan about it, and Susan, because I didn't know about it, as I said. And at that point, Susan said, "Yeah, I wish." And Mike says he has no idea what it.
Oh
he
my
said
god.
he felt it was from the woods. That he got that feeling. Susan actually thinks it's African. So she's got a fascinating story about it. That
She's just a pagan, so I wonder if it would be something to do with her beliefs or.
well, there's lots of theories because everything says she conjured it up. You know, 'cause she does
Possibly.
spells and stuff like that. So yeah, we don't know. But Mike it was fascinating. We never come across anything like that before
I
or
read a
since.
lot about
Yeah.
witches, paganism, and that sort of thing really, really, really fascinates
But
me.
I have met people who still believe in fairies. You know, and when we're talking fairies, we're not talking about goody little.
Yeah,
We're
like,
talking about, oh, you don't want to trust the
don't
fairies.
trust them, they're not very nice.
Fairies are in your walls and things like that.
So we don't get that kind of stuff at home.
Yeah.
It's just
Surely for witches.
we don't get it. I wish we did.
Well, the main cemetery here is actually one of the names it's called, it's Fairy Hill. From the Hoodix, what it's got about Fairy Hill, and there's folklore stories connecting it to the fairies, that the fairies are inside.
So you've got all the bullet holes and that. Who was that from?
I don't know, it's weird that I think it's
All right.
Can you see them?
Nice. Oh wow.
if there's any spirit in the room with us tonight, can you make the rods cross? Can you make these rods that are in my hands cross? Or can you walk close to this device that's on the floor? We don't mean you any harm. We just want to communicate with you, prove that you exist. So if you are here with us tonight, give us a sign that you're here, knock on the wall, touch one of us. I'll try Kate. Your voice makes a difference.
Is there anyone in the room? You let us know of your presence. Removing the rods, cross them to the left or to the right, any which way you can. Just let us know that you're there. Cross them if you're in here.
Just do nothing.
Yeah.
That's excellent. I mean, I'm even convinced that even slight movement from me can't be enough to can swing them. You know, that's why you've got to hold them out like that, and they will go, but
You've got to be straight, and very steady in your movement, in your... I know they're delayed. My boss says, oh, I'm going to be half an hour, the 2 hours. So you never believe it anyway. It's kind of okay.
Hello everybody, it's Mark here from Haunted Auckland. For this episode I'm over in Scotland. I'm in Inverness to be precise, and I'm here with a couple of members from one of my favourite paranormal teams, Highland Paranormal. I'm here with Liam and Kay, and we're in Touchwood House, and we're sitting here with the owner, Susan, and we're having a good old natter about the history and ghosts and the paranormal and everything around that. And we're having a tea. We're not having a pint this time, we're having a cup of tea and some carrot cake, which is very lovely. So Liam, welcome, good to see you again, mate. I was here a couple of years ago and the little speaking day to the cafe, and it was great to meet you guys.
great, yeah.
And I've come back a couple of years later, so it's good to see you again. And Kay,
Hi.
you are one of the newer members.
New members, yeah.
How long have you been in the...
Now at 5 months, is it? Yeah,
5 months. Big learning curve, isn't it?
Huge.
It's amazing, it's amazing.
Discovery.
It is, and you're learning with every investigation.
Every investigation, every new place that we go to opens up another door, and
I know, it's incredible. It's an amazing field to be in, it really is. So what's been happening, Liam?
Yeah, we've been very busy. Again, it's the start of the new year, so the start of the new year, for some reason, in the Highlands seems to be an increase in paranormal activity. So again, we've got 4 or 5 private cases just now. We've just done an event at Durn House in Port Soy, which is an old Edwardian mansion. And tomorrow night we're in a hotel in Nairn. So we're kept extremely busy at the moment.
Wow, that's awesome. And how was Durn House last night?
Durn House last night actually was quite quiet compared to our previous visits. It's an interesting house. It did sit derelict for a little time, so as a result of that, the contents of the house are unique. They're not original to the house. They've all been brought in by the current owners. So that in itself seems to mix up the energies in the house. But the house goes back to the time of the Battle of Culloden, and there's connections with Culloden, so that the actual owner of the house at the time and his manservant both fought in the 45, not only at Culloden but in the whole campaign. There's a record of them. There's also the record of them escaping back to Port Soy, the master being disguised as a woman and going and hiding for several years until he was finally pardoned. During the time he was away, nobody betrayed him. That's how much loved he was in the area, and eventually he was able to return to Durn House and spend the rest of his years. From a paranormal point of view, it's his manservant Bert that is the one that we've communicated with. We've had a 15-minute session with dowsing rods, asking various questions, which was absolutely fascinating. Tried to even trick him, but couldn't trick him. He had a wicked sense of humour. When we asked him how many other spirits were in the room, we got to about 20 and we stopped, and we asked him was he joking, and he said yes.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's great. Yeah, I'm going there in a few days. I'm going to visit in a few days, and have a nosy around.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're sitting here in Touchwood House. Mind blowing. Love this place. You've got an amazing. Here's the owner.
thank you.
Or is this the owner?
Oh, probably. That's
yes.
much more than
There we go. Oh yes, on the throne.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, can you tell us a little bit about Touchwood House there?
From a paranormal point of view, I'll let Susan discuss the history of Touchwood House and that, but from a paranormal point of view, it's a fascinating house. We've got stories of a little boy being in the building. He's been seen by various guests. Even when we've been here, one of our guests saw him. We've got other characters who again affect electrical equipment, switch things on, switch things off. They can be seen. On my first visit here, when I actually came just to have a meeting about doing an event here, we were sitting in this very area, and there was lights, balls of light, flashing around our heads, going off, and I've never witnessed anything like it. And I just knew then that this was going to be a special place, and it really is. It's almost like the heart of the group. This house, this is where we all kind of come back to. On a regular basis, and I'll never tire of this house.
I don't think I will the first visit here, so I think it's very special.
I've been here now for coming up for 31 years.
Wow.
Which, as you can imagine, is most of my adult life. But yes, the house was commissioned by and built for a woman in the 1880s, which at that time would have been fairly unusual for a woman on her own to have a property like this built, and she was 69 years old when she moved in, and lived here with 4 servants until she was 83, and then throughout its history from then on, it's mainly, apart from one man, only for a period of 5 years, I think, and he didn't actually live here. It's been in the ownership or the running of a woman. Well, I bought it originally with my ex-husband.
Right.
I think he would probably have chosen to sell it within a very short period of time. So I had a decision to make: the husband or the house. So I bought his share.
Good choice.
I think
Yeah.
it's probably the right choice.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
You agree? Yeah.
And have you experienced anything?
Lots over the years. I have to say I'm very much at peace with Touchwood, and anything it throws at me these days. It's home, and there's nothing negative here. It goes through phases where it seems to be, we have more activity happening than others. But initially, when my son was, Tristan is now 32, but when he was only 2 years old, not quite 2 years old in fact, when we bought the place. And by the time he was 2.5, it was fairly obvious that initially, when a child mentions a friend who comes to play you, it's an imaginary friend. And there are many stories of children with imaginary friends. Until they start telling you things that a 2.5-year-old is not going to know about, and they're accurate, and then you begin to investigate the possibility of this is not just an imaginary friend. So Tutti was around. Tutti was what he called this little boy. He was around until very frequently until Tristan was probably about 6, and I think then children are maybe not as open to the presence of a spirit child as they would be when they're younger. Peer pressure probably takes over.
Yeah. I think for me, room 8 has got to be the most impressive and active room that we've investigated. The individual that had been in that room was known in the entertainment business in the Inverness area, had managed quite a few of the big establishments, pulled in a lot of big acts over the years. So we decided, let's try and trigger things, let's play some music from an artist that he would recognise from the heydays of the big dance halls and things like that. So we did that, and we started playing the music in the room, and one woman was sitting in the corner, and she suddenly said, the chair started vibrating. I was a little sceptical, I'll be honest, and I said, do you mind if I sit down on it? So I did, and I sat down on it, and it was vibrating, and I could not stop it vibrating. We then saw things on the walls start to shake a little, and then the other group walked into the room, and everything stopped. Music carried on, obviously, so it wasn't the music, that caused everything to vibrate as such. But yes, that was very, very impressive. That's probably the best thing I've seen in here. We've had noises, we've had scratches under the table, which we can't explain as well. We've caught mist on camera. So it normally always delivers something. Touchwood, as I said, it's got a special energy about it, and I think it also goes in with the theory that we've got. If you bring in a group of people with positive energy, you're more than likely going to get results. So yeah, it's, as I said, it's a very special place to us, and one that we love coming back to.
And I see that you use dowsing rods quite a bit in your investigations. That's something I've never really delved into much myself, so I don't really know much about dowsing rods. But have you found them quite effective? And
yeah, it's interesting because dowsing rods is not something that I traditionally, as I said, I'm not sort of old school spiritual or anything like that. I'm more a geeky, gadgety kind of guy. But what I've actually found in recent is that we've been getting more results with dowsing rods than we have with the gadgets. One theory being that the spirits we're interacting with actually might not understand what the gadgets are, might actually be a bit terrified of the gadgets. That's one theory we're kind of working on at the moment. But what we have done very successfully at Durham House on several occasions now is communicate with spirit and use the dowsing rods, asking the spirit to answer the question by moving the dowsing rods in a certain way, whether it's to spin them, move them left, move them right, etc., etc. We had a 15-minute conversation with Bert, who I mentioned, I think, earlier, and we couldn't trick him. Last night at Durham House, we had 2 separate sessions with a little boy and a little girl who we believe may be brother and sister from the questions that we asked. The surname that we got a hit on was previous owners of the house. We're going to do a little bit more research on the names. But again, we didn't get any false positives last night. So it is fascinating. I'm not going to say for 1 minute I can tell you why the dowsing rods behave in that manner, but they do seem to respond intelligently to questions.
Right. Cool.
Which I absolutely find fascinating. Whereas at the same time, standing next to it with a K2 meter, nothing.
Right. So what would you consider your best piece of equipment then that you use? That's been the most effective.
I think the audio recorder. I think a lot of groups would say is you know, the EVP. Some of the EVPs we've got are absolutely superb. Yeah, we use a medium as well. And I know that the field's a bit, you know, iffy, should we say, about mediums, but you know, we were very selective in who we took on, and you know, he is very good. He will go into a location, and if he's been to locations, he knows, and he will tell us before he even goes in.
Yeah.
We actually turned up at one private location, and he goes, "I used to live next door as a kid." So he's very upfront. We have gone into locations, and there's nothing here.
And you've got to mix it up with investigations too. You've got to experiment and try new things.
Yes.
I mean, we don't use mediums within our team's investigations, but many do.
Yeah.
And but it's all about experimentation and trying things and
Trial and error.
Yeah.
trial and error.
Yeah,
Nothing is wrong in this field. It's all worth trying. And so any ideas to be thrown into the pot are worth trying, you know. So you know, and if you're having luck with mediums, if mediums are working, stick with it.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he has had some incredible hits.
Cool.
And some crazy, you know, things that he said have turned out to be on the money. So it's as I said, it's a fascinating field. I've told him already, to be honest, he's another tool in the arsenal. That's how I look at a medium.
He's a tool.
Yeah, tool.
Nice.
Yeah,
You're a tool, Mike.
Yeah, I love you for that.
We love him really.
You love him really. But it is, and as I said, it's also something that I think, you know, spiritualism certainly in Scotland now is becoming more and more popular. There's, you know, spiritual churches popping up all over the place, and they've got large followings. So there's a very folks' interest in mediumship now. And as I said, it's getting a good one that's the problem, because we do know that there's a lot of mediums out there who are people who claim to be mediums who simply, they may have a gift, but they don't know how to use it.
That's right. I mean, personally, for me, I mean, I've always been a little bit sceptical about mediums, but I do believe that there are gifted mediums. That is a valid, what would you call it, gift? Yeah. I do believe there is a valid gift, but I do believe it's quite rare, and I don't believe there are as many out there that as we see on television or in the classifieds advertising themselves, and all that kind of thing. But I do believe it is actually a valid gift that a lot of people do possess. Okay. What any interesting things that you've seen that have stood out for you? That
yeah, we had a couple of investigations. I mean, my first with the group was at Brodie Castle, when they had an event at Brodie Castle. That's how I was introduced to the group itself. And we had a couple of things we hit up on, mostly in the nursery upstairs. There was knocking and voices up there. That was like my first kind of real eye opener. We've done a couple. We've done a few, but as a group, and a couple obviously at Durn House, and then obviously this is my first time here, and this house has really made an effect on me. Upstairs I felt really poorly, very sick, very...
Yeah, I saw that, yeah. It affected you, didn't it, quite well?
Yeah, in a certain place, so it's a very special place. I can't wait to come back here. But, every time at Durn House that we've been at Durn House, there's been different things that have happened. It's never been the same every time we've gone back. And I'm excited. I'm excited for what we've got for the future, for the group, and for this. I mean, the last 3 days have been absolutely crazy busy, but it's exciting. I think it's going to open a few doors, hopefully, that we can view more people, more properties, see more things, do more investigations, and
yeah. I mean, I'm in touch with quite a few other teams from around the world, and there were only a very small handful of Scottish-based teams that stood out to me as being, professional and just really putting in the work and the time and the effort.
It's the same for Liam. Liam's very, very respectful. We do everything by the book. There are groups that don't.
Yeah.
And he has a good ethics for the group itself. That he is very respectful. Will ask all the time.
Yeah.
And if he gets told no, then we don't go. It's
That's right.
as simple as that. And that stands out hugely for me as well. And that's what made me feel like I really needed to be part of it. And it was nice of them. Very grateful that they allowed me in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are a lot of show ponies out there that are all wanting to be celebrities and all wanting to be the next big thing in the paranormal field. Everybody wants to be Zach Bagans. I mean, I don't.
No.
I'd like his money. I'll have his money, thank you very much. But
there's some lovely people in the group. Family. It's almost like a family, and it is a family to myself as well. So it's really good to be part of, and very excited to come back here even just to see this. And
you're very lucky. I mean, there are a lot of dysfunctional teams out there that don't last, and a lot of egos. I mean, egos are rife. I mean, you just have to look on the internet in the paranormal field. Egos are huge and running rife, and it's just there's a lot of nastiness out there, and so genuine, dedicated, family type teams are very, very hard to find. I'm quite lucky myself because my team, Haunted Auckland, back in New Zealand, we're very close in that we're family. We are family, and we have a core team that have been in the group right from the beginning. And that's something to be proud of, and something that I'm very, chuffed to be a part of. That that it's lasted so long. And you've got people that you can grow together and learn together, and you can trust them, and they're your brothers and sisters.
Yeah, it's the same for us.
It is, and you can rely on them. And I think in this field, it's really important that you trust your fellow teammates. You've got to be able to have full trust in them, because you've got to know that they've got your back and you've got theirs. It goes both ways, so it's very important. And because you're working so closely together, and some of these cases will be quite intimate and quite sensitive, So you're dealing with some pretty, sensitive issues that you have to sort of be really, kind of. It can get a bit personal, I suppose, in some point. So you need to be tight, and it's important. And I think you guys are.
We are tight, yeah. There's 6 of us now, obviously, with myself joined. So, and we'll have we have a laugh as well.
Yeah.
That's important too.
You've got to. But yeah, we made a decision to keep the group small and dedicated. You go on about the fame. We never do it for the fame. We've never done it for the fame.
No.
For me, I get the biggest buzz I get is helping people. If I can, it might sound corny, but if people didn't sleep in their beds at night, that's enough for me. I'm very proud of what the team have done over the years in that private arena, where they've done a lot of cases where they have, that's what's happened. They've gone from people being absolutely terrified to stay in their homes to being happy and content in their homes after the team.
But you can actually put absolutely hundreds of thousands of hours into that as well.
Yeah, everybody puts in. That's how it works. It's teamwork. We're one big team, and everybody does their share, which is really, really good. It is a massive challenge to find locations, and it gets more and more difficult each year. I think events companies, for a start, have a bit of a monopoly on some locations. So, as a non-profit group, we're not in a position to go in and say, yeah, we'll pay £150 or whatever to come and investigate your property. But saying that, at the same time, we've got wonderful people like Susan, the folk at Durn House and other locations who come back whenever you like, so yeah, we do like that a lot.
Yeah.
In Inverness itself, with the tourism, it's hard to get into places that way as well, isn't it, because of the high seasons and sometimes low seasons. There's still obviously tourists here even low season.
Yeah.
So.
Hotels, you're very limited. You can get in at this time of the year, and then that's really it.
That's it.
So this is our busy spell at the moment. But it also seems to be busier for some reason for private cases as well. Every year seems to be the same. So we're always looking for new challenges, new locations. We've been approached on 2 or 3 occasions to work with TV. We have always turned it down because it became apparent straight away that you would have no control.
You have no say about how you come across. That's right.
The team would operate. So we've always said, no, our credibility comes first. While it might be good to get our name out there, it wouldn't do us any favours long term. So we have, as I said, in the past always said no. We're hoping that we might do a feature with the local Gaelic TV. They were looking to do one with us before Halloween, just a feature on what we do, which we felt a lot more comfortable with. Yeah. So hopefully, timing wise, it was just too short to sort something out last year when we were already booked for Halloween. So hopefully this year we could do something with them. And as I said, always looking for new locations. Happy to travel a bit as well. We realise that we've kind of exhausted the Inverness area a bit, so we're travelling a bit further afield. Obviously, Port Soy is about an hour and a half's drive from Inverness, so it's a bit more of a trek for us. I mean, our open meets that we used to do on a regular basis, where we just basically we'd be using a cafe or a bar. We'd invite people. Obviously, Mark, you came along and did a chat. One of them. We'll chat. They really opened a few doors for us, and also the amount of people who would come in and tell you their stories, their personal experiences. It was fascinating, and you were thinking, that location's on it, that location might be on it. So, yeah, as you said, there is lots, and especially in the Highlands, I think we're quite a superstitious lot, and there is lots of tales of superstitions, not only of ghosts but of fairies and the likes of as well. More recently I started having a wee bit of a dig about some of the folklore. We've even got our own vampires and
werewolves.
And,
You've got the dog man.
Yeah,
there's a dog man out here, isn't there? Apparently.
Yeah. So yeah, it is absolutely fascinating. I have one man who regularly comes and tells me about seeing the green man on Doors Road as you get towards Loch Ness.
Yes, you were telling me about the Screen Man before.
Oh, the green man in here I was telling
Okay,
you about.
yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know about the Green Man?
Green Man, of course I know about the Green Man.
Do you have any details?
Any pagan person knows about the Green Man.
Yeah.
But it depends whether we're talking about the same Green Man.
No, we were talking about the little green man.
Oh, the little
Yeah.
man in
Yeah.
that corridor.
Yeah.
That one was incredible, but that, yeah, a little man. I have another property about a mile away from here, and that house is built on the site where the last male witch in Scotland was burnt at the stake in 1603. So I could tell you many tales about that property too, but in the meantime, one day, one afternoon, while I was down there and I was doing the most mundane, going through a set of accounts, sitting at the dining room table, going through the accounts, and out of a flower pot, a large pot, and in this pot I had an artificial tree, and I'd kind of anchored the artificial tree with stones that I'd collected and painted and bronzed. So I'd been out in the field, taken back all these stones, created this kind of visually acceptable scenario with this artificial tree. But as I sat at that table, out of that pot came a kind of elfin creature, which I saw very clearly, only for more than an instant, but not for any length of time. It's like glimpsing something and then thinking, no, I didn't see that. But I was very aware that that thing was with me and came back to Touchwood House with me. And I've seen this little man in this back corridor here for years. I haven't seen him for a while recently, but every now and again he goes through a phase of I catch a glimpse of him, or he holds on to a corner of the wall and looks round. However, I've discussed him not to any extent with anybody because people really think I'm...
I've spoken to quite a few people through the years that have seen something very similar.
Really?
Yeah.
However, on the occasion that Liam was talking about when they were here on an investigation, and I think on the same night as you experienced the vibrating chair, etc., the medium who works with them was in the back corridor, and he came in and he said to me, you have a little man in that corridor. And I was, wow, did you see him? And he said, no, I haven't seen him, but I'm sensing him. But he's not something that I understand. He's not of the spirit world, he's of the forest. So, which I would 100% agree with. We're kind of bordering more on fairy than on spiritual stuff here. And believe me, I'm not one to knock the fairies. So he heartened me enormously with his awareness of this little creature. But I'm not the only person who's seen him. I mean, other people have caught glimpses of him and commented on it and been amazed. So.
Wow, that's brilliant.
I've been told of one of the Green Man being seen on the road to Foyers.
So what are we talking about? I mean, the Green Man within the pagan community is Lord of the Forest, and he's made up of or surrounded by leaves.
Yes, this is what
So
this gentleman told me.
Right. Okay.
That he has seen
An image of the Green Man.
Crossing from one side of the road to the other side of the road.
He's a lucky person if he's had that experience. I mean, certainly out those a few years ago, He was a Polish photographer staying. And he'd been out, I don't know, photographing various things. He came back in the evening and he had a bottle of wine and said, would you like a glass of wine? And it was it was the end of August, beautiful evening. Table in the garden, up at the top of the garden, kind of underneath the willow tree, and there's such a peaceful place. And it was that, in Scotland we refer to it as the gloaming, that kind of light between the light disappearing and before it's dark, so it's this dusk. And we're sitting up there and I was, wow, this is such a night for the fairies. And he laughed at me and he said, oh, you and your fairies. At which point a stone whacked him on the leg. And he looked at me and he said, how did you manage to do that? I have no stones, I haven't done anything. And I mean, we weren't sitting, it was like a piece of gravel. There's gravel, you know, quite a distance away, but there was no gravel in close proximity. So I was trying to laugh at the fairies. I wouldn't tempt fate, but I mean, there are all kinds of examples of these situations that, you know, you can't explain. You can't just dismiss it as being nothing. There was no one else there to throw the stone.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I love it. It's such a special place. You know, there's just so much folklore and so much
in the Highlands,
history.
I think we need to keep it alive.
Yeah.
We need to not lose this part of our heritage that with the days where we're obsessed with computers and everything online, and we still need to hang on to these precious experiences. And communication with people on a, you know, more of a one-to-one, where everybody's got a story. Everyone has some experience. Okay, you have the odd human who dismisses everything, but in the main, and certainly the people who come to stay here and get chatting, everybody's got a story.
Yes. I'm sure you've had it, Mark. I know I have. You have people who ordinarily probably wouldn't even approach you and talk to you, but they know you're the ghost guy.
Yeah.
And they want to share.
They
know that you'll listen and you're not going to just laugh at them.
That's right.
And they want to share it. And some amazing stories you hear from these people. And it's like, you know, it's a relief that there's somebody actually who's willing to listen to them and believe them.
Anything you want to add before we cut off now, guys?
I'd just like to thank you for taking your time out to come and talk to us.
And Susan for having us.
Yes.
You're
Thank you,
more
Susan.
than
And we will plug your house.
Plug Touchwood,
Yes. New Zealand.
Visit.
Yes. And your websites and
Yeah, highlandparanormal.org. We're Highland Ghosts on Facebook, and if any of your followers are planning coming over to the Highlands, give us a shout.
yes. Awesome. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Susan. Amazing place. And that's another episode of Pint of Paranormal. In this case, it was tea and carrot cake. And so I've been enjoying sitting here having a yak. And so thank you very much, guys. And bring on the next one.